Hello, want to thank everybody for coming here today and checking out this live video that we've got going on. I'm working on different angles and stuff and getting it all set up. So hopefully we are good to go here. Now, that's a lot better now. Okay, I am going to be joined with Tiffany here right now. She's going to jump on and we're going to bring her on the camera and get going to share a little bit more about her and what our work together has done. She's got some really cool, exciting things to share. Tiffany, what's up, girl? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to finally actually see you. We haven't really seen each other much.
Right.
There's a lot of talking that goes on, which is okay.
Lots of talking.
So
lots of talking.
yes, fantastic. And I love hearing your voice and the excitement that you bring, especially in the last 3 to 4 weeks. It's been just fantastic. And on my end, I'm jumping with joy just with what you've been experiencing in your life. And I'd love for you to share that. And I'm so excited that you have come on and offered up some time to be able to spend with us and the group of the Women's Body Breakthrough Facebook group to kind of share where you were, what was going on there, why you decided that it was an absolute must to do something about yourself, to even, the money stuff, how that kind of came about, to the impact that it's having in your world around you. And there's a certain number of people in your life, 4 at least, that are directly relying on you specifically to produce, to be there for them, to, with your daughters and your husband. And so that's so important. And then also this is a time of celebration, as I mentioned in our text, to celebrate where you have come from and to really reaffirm what your new story is, what your new timeline is, what it is that you identify with, who Tiffany is now, and the exciting things that are coming your way. So let's dive in. I'm gonna stop. I like talking. I'll ask some questions and I'll prompt and shift things, but I'll let you talk through, and let's kind of talk about where things have been prior to a couple weeks ago, years before that. What's been going on?
Okay. Well, first I apologize to everybody. I'm actually walking to a little so I can actually be able to sit and stay seated. But yeah, just to kind of talk through what was going on. So I've always been the type of person who work was everything. So I spent a lot of time at my job, working a gazillion hours. It seems like always first one in, last one out. My career and my career path was really important. So just trying to make sure I was staying on track for that. And in the midst of all of the rigorous work that I was doing, having kids, getting married, and trying to manage all of that, it was a lot. It was always quite a bit. So yeah, and I spent a lot of time very, very much stressed and not sleeping.
Right, and a very common timeline that comes into my my career throughout. I've been doing this almost 20 years now, and the timeline is that women are givers. That's a natural thing, right? It's just motherly. It's just what you all do, and consequently, you give and give and give. And so when you start out in your 20s, it's getting into your education or getting into the first bit of your career development. Throughout the 20s, it's establishing what's important to you in that career and getting some, a firm grip on career development and all that. From there, we get into raising a family, getting married, having kids. And then by the time you're, 35 to 45, the kids have come of age and you can breathe again. And you're like, wow, what just happened? I need some help. And that's where I think a lot of the women in here might be finding themselves at as well. It's just all right, I need a little self-care, a little turn all that back on me. And, one thing I want to do is try and prevent them from even having to talk with me. If I can do that, that would be great. So go on, dive in.
Oh, well, it was just a lot. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of work and exactly as you were saying, spending a lot of time caring for everybody else but me, really putting myself last. You know, I have four girls, and their ages 21, 17, almost 18, 16, about to be 17 next week, and then a
Yeah.
15-year-old. And then also just all of their different activities. Of course, none of them want to do the same thing. So they were all involved in a variety of different things that were at different times and different schedules. So managing all of that, managing my job. Also, I was in school. Well, I still am in school, trying to get my doctorate degree within the past couple years. And
So you're a
then
smart cookie, huh?
I, I think so. Yeah, yeah, for
And you
sure.
work hard.
But like,
And you work
I
hard.
do. I
Yeah.
do. I try to. And so all of that
Hmm.
plus like managing you know, like my family stuff, it was just always a lot just in general. But then it
Right.
got even more complicated about 3 years ago when my husband had a really severe stroke. And he
Right.
was the primary breadwinner for our family. I mean, I was making money, but he was really making money. And so really
Hmm.
allowing us to live like a very comfortable lifestyle
Right.
and managing some other things because of his schedule that helped to balance it out. And so didn't
Well,
necessarily have to do it
truth be
all on my
told,
own.
Tiffany, I have four kids too. They are, I'm not to where you're at, so that I've got an 8, 7, 5, and 3-year-old. But there's a
Right.
certain level of income that you absolutely have to make to just to live a life, right? Like I
Agreed.
know that there's a certain number of
Absolutely.
zeros that need to be brought into my bank account every single month for us to eat and to function on a regular basis. So,
Absolutely.
I truly can, relate to where you're at this. So, you guys were comfortable living, and now you have to take into account all of that because your husband had an unfortunate health issue.
Yeah, I mean, and it was really severe. We like originally they weren't sure if he was even gonna make it. So after
Oh,
that, then trying to manage like his road to recovery because he spent almost 6 months between all of the hospitals that he was in and almost didn't come home for almost a year. And so all
wow,
the again the four girls plus school plus work, all of the other major
wow,
commitments I had. And so then trying to do that plus driving back and forth to like Cleveland Clinic for about 4 months of that
right,
and just trying to manage life. It was a lot. And I found myself even taking even less time to take care of myself because I was caring for everybody with the emotion of everything, plus all of the practical things that need to happen. So it was quite a lot to manage.
right. Let's get those kids fed at somewhere in there, right? Or get them to school
Right,
on
of
time,
course.
right?
Yeah,
Basic daily things.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then just from there, just, you know, trying to manage. And the more I was trying to balance the managing for other people, it really became a case of not really managing anything for myself. I mean, I wasn't sleeping, and I've always had like some issues with sleeping, but
Hmm.
during all of this time, I got to the point where I would go days not sleeping at all, or if I
Right,
did sleep, it wasn't like full sleep. It would be like like an hour here, then I'd wake up, or
right,
maybe 2 hours here, then I'd wake up. So it was restless sleep and or not sleeping at all, and
right,
then not eating too.
right,
So
right.
it was just like
And I
really
remember
just
just
not
this
taking care
recent
of me, and it just
just this recent week, it was just like, oh yeah, the 4 hours or whatever you were getting were broken, and I'm like, oh goodness sakes, like wow, that I've spent during my first business, I can relate a little bit to that 4 hour night thing. I'd be getting up at 4 o'clock to get to the gym by 5 to be there till 11 to somehow struggle through the middle of the day doing admin work to get back to the gym by 3, 4 o'clock to leave there at 9, 10 o'clock
exactly.
to go to bed at midnight and do it again, and I did that for like 2 years. It was interesting. I I will not
Yeah.
revisit that ever again. So, without a doubt. All right, so we're not sleeping, we're not eating, and we've addressed those things very specific in a lot of our work together, and the stress
Oh,
management, handling all those things, and we'll dive into that. So what was the culmination of it all? It was just like, wow, I really need to like take care of myself. What was that
true.
point that was just like, okay, Have to.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I had been always like I would yo-yo diet, and in between all of this, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take care of myself." Then I would hop on some fad diet that was not gonna work. I didn't have time to do all the food prep and the extra and the
Hmm.
specific this, that, and the other. I mean, I was like, it was so complicated. It was discouraging because I would do it for like a day or two or a week or two, and then it just wouldn't pan out because of my time and everything else that was going on. And
Right.
so I did that for a long time. And then maybe about maybe like a month or a month, maybe a little bit more before I was introduced to you, someone at my job who I'm really close to, like she has this thing at my job, it's like walk it out Wednesdays. And so like
Right.
walking and just like getting active and different things. And she and I have been talking about some things that she's very much aware of all the stress that that I've
Right.
been experiencing, especially like at the job and stuff like that. And so we have been walking and different things. And I had been telling her, I want to do something really serious. I feel like I'm ready. I've been trying to transition my mindset to really focus and do something for me. And she had been part of that. And she had recommended, like, well, if you really feel like you're ready, like, let me make sure you're really ready because this will be some serious stuff. But if you're really ready, there's somebody I can introduce you to. And so then that's when she made the connection for me to meet you.
Right. Right. Yeah, because you need to be really ready, right? To do the
Yeah, you
change,
really
and
do.
it's not even. Yeah, it's not me. It's the whole commitment to transforming your life that you have to be ready for. And I
Absolutely.
can't stress that enough for anyone. I talk to multiple people every single day, and I get a range of people that are uh, comfortably discontent. Like, I'm going to moan and bitch and complain about wanting to lose weight and get in shape, but not do a single damn thing about it. To like, wow, like if I don't do something, I'm going to die. And like,
Yeah.
from like this last quarter, those are the people that I want to help. Why? Because they're absolutely committed. They're going to do whatever it is that they need to do to make the results happen for themselves. And so our coaching, our work together, our time together is spent. It's very valuable, and we maximize it to the utmost so that, like,
Right.
I'm not like, hey, do this, and you're like, oh, I'll do it for a day and not. And that's one of the reasons why I totally want to dive all in with you as well, is to make sure that, we're both committed to your transformation, to your shift in your life, because it's so important. There's so many people that are depending on you to do your best, to perform and to be Tiffany. And if Tiffany's
Yeah.
not Tiffany, then you are not going to experience what it is that we'll talk about shortly here in a bit. So,
Right.
Megan, you can thank Megan. It's all her fault,
Yeah.
right?
I've thanked
And
her multiple times, like in text message, in person. I mean, because it really was one of those things that it was a culmination of like a lot of different things that were happening like at the right time. And I think that's the
right,
biggest thing. Like I had to be ready, but a couple other things
right,
had to be right for that to happen. And I had already had some experiences with like coaches or like trainers that they were
right,
promising something that they absolutely could not deliver on, and they weren't willing
right,
to really individualize what I needed to really get at like some
right,
of the sources of
right,
why things were happening. They couldn't answer that. They were like, oh, just run around for 5 miles and you'll be fine. And I needed way
right,
more than just that. So, and she knew
right.
that. So I was glad when she was like, well, I have just the person for you. I said, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, right, right, right. Based on your prior thing, and I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. I did the gym thing. I've owned gyms. I've just worked with people, and like at the heart of me, I'm after true commitment, and that's one of the processes that we have to go through in the very beginning, is to even talk to you to make sure that this is going to be a good fit, because this has to be a win-win situation. This has to be
Yeah.
that you get the outcome that you want. I'm not here to give you a meal plan to go tell you to run 5 miles or whatever.
Right.
I'm here to
Right.
make sure that you are doing what is needed to get that outcome, so that we can have awesome talks
Absolutely.
like this And you can be like, Brian, you're awesome. I love you like Dana. She just jumped on here. Dana is the initial rock star. And you can
Hi,
thank
Dana.
Dana after the call here because it's all her fault that I had really shifted in my capacity, my mindset, my abilities to command the results that you need to happen. Like this isn't a walk in the park. We need this stuff to happen to drastically change your life. So, so where are we at now? What our first call together? What were some of your thoughts, feelings of what was happening or what was needed?
Sure. Well, I mean, of course, I was very skeptical, but I did trust Megan because she knew everything that I had going on. And so I was
Right.
like, maybe like cautiously optimistic that things would potentially be what I needed them to be. But like, as we started talking, like it became clear, oh, this is different because you were asking questions that for me none of my other like trainers or coaches or whatever, they hadn't even asked any of those. And I realized the stuff
Right.
that we were talking about, those were the things that were really important that
Right.
nobody cared to ask. And I was like, okay, maybe he might be able to help me with this thing, because
Right.
we
Right.
really got into depth, even that first call about
Mm-hmm.
how serious I was, not just about that, but what it is that I had got on and
Right.
what led me to this point and how did I
Right.
get here, and not just how many, how long I could run on the treadmill or how
Right.
much weight I could pick up, and I really
Right.
appreciated that. And so that definitely made me like trust that I
Right.
I would be
Start
able
to
to get
buy in.
results in a way that I haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to your truth. We got to the truth
Yeah.
inside, and that's. I sometimes I feel like on the initial calls with people, I fail them because they don't take action. They have to think about it. They have to go talk to a spouse. They have to, 18 other different things that they got to get in shape to work with me or something, like all sorts of different things. But I feel like I fail them because I truly believe inside that I can really help shape shift and redirect what's going on. And that's been through,
Man.
so every single day I'm doing this with people. I'm talking with them, I'm engaging, I'm going through the experience. I spent thousands of dollars on my education, on my continuing development, on the purpose of my drive to do what it is I need to do. So like I absolutely know, and sometimes I feel like I failed them because I didn't pull their truth out of them enough. I didn't get them to see what their actual cost of not taking action now really is. Look back, if you wouldn't have done anything, where would you been right now?
I have no idea. Like, I don't even don't ask me that. I don't even want to think about that because it
It's
freaks me
out.
out
that
to think
that
about it.
lifestyle is gone.
Yeah.
You
I don't
erased
want to
it
think
from your
about
mind.
that at all. Yeah, but even
Run.
like with the money thing, I think that's something that's important. Like even with my own journey, you and I have talked about this. Like when I was thinking about the money investment, and I was like, okay, so what is this gonna look like for me? I
Right.
swear the stars had aligned in some type of like really crazy way because had we had this conversation a week prior, I would have been like one of those people. Well, I got to think about it. I'm gonna have to ask my husband. I don't know. Can we do it in installment? Something, because
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily at the place where I was gonna have those funds. But the week
Right.
prior, I didn't have it. But right after, maybe like a couple days before we had our phone call, the money, like
Right.
the specific amount of money for this
Showed up.
specific thing, like showed up. And I was like, wow. I was like, definitely the stars aligned. And I mean, and I think it was just like a reminder to myself, like, you are important and you've got to invest in you because you got to be here for your 4 kids. You got to be here for your husband. You got to be here for your family. And I
Right.
know you like the work that you do. And if you die tomorrow, they will have a job description out for your job. And do I want someone else doing my job? No, I don't. And so it just happened at the right time. And just thinking about even like in that first conversation, knowing like the dollar, like what each of those dollars, if you ask me what each of those dollars spent means as far as the investment in my life now, I could tell you for every single dollar based on everything that I've gotten now.
Right.
And so it just reaffirms like,
Right. And
okay, I
hopefully,
know I did the right thing. And because I know spending money and stuff exactly
right.
is like a hard thing for people. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, it was worth every darn dollar for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have charged you more, huh?
No,
uh,
not at all.
all right, fair enough. Then the other thing on my end is like I need to deliver on that, right? It's not the cheapest thing
Absolutely.
ever, and I have to deliver on it. So it holds both of
Yeah.
us in, incredibly invested in your
Yes, for
development
sure.
to make sure that you're getting the outcome that you want. And that's what we did in week one, right? We really dialed into what is it that Tiffany deserves? Who does she need to be? And what does she actually want? So many people, I had a phone call yesterday, the person does not know who they want to be, and therefore they have no reason to work out, to exercise, to do anything, and have it stick or stay with them to eat better or whatever, because there's no vision. So we dived into that in the very first week. And what was that experience? That I remember there's two specific things that were like, you know what, like, we're supposed to be doing exercise and stuff, but we're going to do these two things instead. Do you remember what that focus was?
Well, I mean, the biggest one that I remember was like the stress management piece was
Yes.
like a big one. So, because
Mm-hmm.
for me, like that took over everything. And
Yeah.
then also just dealing with like the sleep issue, because that was
Right.
something that, like, those two things, I don't think if we hadn't addressed those first, I don't
Right.
think that I would have been motivated to do any of the other stuff that we had to do, because it was
Right.
overwhelming my every
Right.
day.
Right. 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 We talked loosely about exercise and nutrition and just kind of gave
Right.
some parameters, but very specific on going into the stress management, because to be honest, when you look back, you were drinking cortisol Kool-Aid all day long, every single moment of the day, whether it was
Yes.
dealing with work stress, which everyone has, dealing with your
Yeah.
husband, dealing with your 4 kids, dealing with
Yeah.
no sleep, which guarantees you that you will not lose weight. If you sleep
Right.
this amount, you will not, nothing will change. You'll probably gain weight. If you sleep this
Right.
much, you couldn't make something happen. But if you sleep like way over here, then we know that like the body's functioning properly and then can do its thing. So Tiffany can get into her groove. And that's exactly what we've been experiencing the last 3-4 weeks of like the tone, the energy, the verbiage, your
Yeah.
vocabulary has changed so much, and it just keeps mounting and building this ball of momentum. So it's even more exciting because we need to readdress, now that you're in a new place, what is right for Tiffany? Where is she going? What's going on? So stress management and sleep are the big things. And so what do we do with the sleep piece? Where you at? Where you
Well,
were sleeping broken 4 hours? Where you at now?
well, so funny that you've asked this question. So I thought about it this morning because I woke up. I went to bed around like 10:30. I didn't wake up until like 10, and I was like, oh. And I only woke up one time, just like to get up and get some water. But I mean, sleeping at least like 6 to 8 hours for me is regular. That's my regular time. And my girls have even like commented like, "Mom, you're sleeping so much." And it's like regular sleep, because I've gone
Yeah.
from really not sleeping at all to like the amount of sleep I'm actually supposed to be getting as like a normal human. So they're like in
Right.
shock that I'm actually sleeping
Right.
like that. And like, so my sleep has changed, especially after, I think it was like after like the first like 2 or 3 weeks, when it really started to change. And I remember the first night that I slept more than, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. And I was like, yes, mission accomplished, because I slept through. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, even if
Right.
if we do nothing else, like just that in itself was a big
Right.
accomplishment, because I went almost an entire year of like maybe an hour or so, maybe, of sleep.
Right.
So
Right. And if you never not slept for more than a couple days, like that shit messes you up. It messes you up
yeah, it does.
bad.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It makes you
Yep. Yep.
cranky, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
tired from being tired, and then loss
Yep.
of productivity, and then just
Right.
energy
Work. Yeah.
to do the
Productivity at
things that you
work.
want to do.
What was happening at lunchtime? You were sneaking off for naps, right?
I was, yeah, I was the chronic napper um at lunch because I wasn't eating at lunch if I had a lunch. And so anytime I
Right.
had an
Because you
opportunity, I
needed
was like,
sleep.
I had a little pallet, yep, underneath my desk, and I would like lay down with my little blanket and try to get like a little
Yeah.
cat nap in, maybe like 30 minutes, so that I could get through the day. So yeah,
Right.
it was pretty difficult.
Right. Right. Definitely. Definitely. Stress management. That was the other big thing. How has that been for you the last many weeks?
I'm a pro at stress management. No, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, every day it's a challenge. You have to constantly be focused on how you're going to manage it. But one of the
Yeah.
things I will say is I definitely feel like I have some strategies in place that
Good.
are
Good.
consistent, and my
Yes.
consistency with those strategies, um, I've leveled up in that way because it's gone from like being at the back of my mind, like the last thing on my list, to the first thing on my list. Because I know as we've been working, one of the things that we've talked about is how like managing that allows me to be able to do the exercise and put myself first and eat the food that I'm supposed to be eating and drink the water and all those different things, because those are things that are helping me to be more energized and be full, so that I can actually
Right.
manage the stress, because your mental capacity is connected to how much sleep you're getting, how much food you're eating, and different
Yes.
things like that. So I've seen definitely a huge difference putting that first, because it allows me to really put the other things first too.
Right. Right. And so I imagine motivation. Sure. Like even me, I fitness guru or whatever. I've been working out forever. I still can struggle to find some motivation for
Right.
exercise or working out or prioritizing. But because I've ingrained strategies and I live and believe a certain outcome for Brian that needs to happen, that I still can fall back on doing it, and that motivation is inside me and I can pull on it and create it whenever I want. And we did a
Right.
specific exercise that really gave you so much energy right then and there. And it was like, we were talking after 9 p.m. or something. Like we were both yawning and we were talking, but like you were like full of energy because we were able to harness it and summon it. And so the motivation, it's not a question of if, it's just when in the day are you going to make
When.
it happen.
Yeah.
And you're actually working out early in the morning most of the time now too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like right
Right.
now, I get up a little bit, like it's enough time that I can go there or and do my exercises and stuff before I go to work, come back and still get to work on time. Cause then cause for me, like trying to do it like after work, it's just not an option. There's so much stuff that's happening
Right.
like with my kids. And then for me, like trying to do that after some of the craziness that happens at my job, there's no way that
Right.
mentally I can be in a place
Right.
where I can exercise for me. So I found a lot of success in finding a staple time in the morning before the
Right.
kids get up, before I got to go
Right.
somewhere. But then I knocked it out. Boom, I'm done. And
Yep.
then
Yep.
I feel accomplished all day. Like, hey, I did my
Yep.
exercises,
Yep. Yep.
and so it
Which
helps
then
get the
encourages
energy.
better eating habits and other
Yeah, for
encourages
sure.
way more other things as well. So I'm the same way. So
Absolutely.
I know that after school it's a wash. For such a long time, like after midnight, or excuse me, afternoon, like 12 o'clock. Like if I didn't work out before that, you just kiss it to the wind today
That's it.
because of life
Exactly.
would stack up, and I'd have my kids get off school at like 3. Then you're in kid time until 9 if they go to bed
Exactly.
by 9, and then
Right.
then by 9:30 you're like, wow, like
Right.
okay, but then I still have other things to do. So you know so excellent. With the food, you know where where'd we start there, and where are we at?
Okay, where we started was I wasn't eating. Like, let's be clear, there was I wasn't really eating at all. I would maybe one meal, if that, just depending on the day. And I think that
Mhm.
also includes like if like whatever little half of a snack I would get over the course of 24 hours because
Right.
of everything that was going on. But now I'm eating all the time. It's scary. And you and I have talked about this. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand how I'm eating so much food and not gaining weight because
Right.
I had been so used to not eating. I remember when we were first
Right.
talking about upping the number of calories that I was intaking. I was like, no, I like this is not happening because it just seemed like so
Right.
much food to eat and it was really
Uh,
overwhelming. So,
yeah, I remember that night. I was driving home from some vacation or something, and we were at a gas station. Pacing. I'm like, all right, how do I regain her back? How do I like keep her engaged here? Because you're like, Brian, there's so much food. Like, it's
too
so
much. It
much,
was
and we had to just create some relevance around it. That it really wasn't
yeah.
that much. It's just more that you were used to.
Right,
And
right.
so after we kind of overcame that hurdle, then and that mindset shift, you're like, oh, okay, you're right. It is more than I've been eating the last 3 years or 5 years or whatever. So
Right.
it's just different now. And so yeah, we've like what, doubled your calories basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is it's amazing when I look in the my fitness pal app at the certain food I'm eating and how much I've eaten. I'm like, did I really eat this much food today? And then I like hop on the scale and I'm either maintaining or I'm down. Like, that's the thing that has
Yeah.
been really cool, like, to see is like at first I was like the food, like the oh, I'm not losing any weight. I was like getting discouraged, but I
Yeah.
realized after I got the stress and the sleep together, then that I think it was like a couple weeks after that I lost like 2 pounds, and I was like, I went from like not losing any to
Right.
losing like 2 pounds in 1 week, and I was like,
Right.
yes. But then I realized like, oh, okay, that's the connection. If I can manage those two, then I'll better be able to manage the other, and then it'll come off. And the thing is that I like once it came off, it did not come back. And that's what I like. Like, once it's
Right.
gone, goodbye fat. Don't ever come back
Uh-huh.
again. You're not
Uh-huh.
welcome here anymore. So,
The beauty that of our work together is that like it just kept encouraging you to what is the next step. And let's try and add a little bit more food and get you used to that. Let's try and do a little
right.
bit more at the exercise, try and get used to it. And like you were like, Brian, I want more, I want more, I want more, which was great because instead of like getting told to eat 8 times a day, getting told to go work out and run 5 miles or whatever, like we made it progressive so that you were excited, you couldn't wait for more, and it just kept stacking and stacking and stacking, which was just the outcome that we needed for
For
you
sure.
to continue to encourage that momentum, that building, that process of change and transformation that you've been experiencing. So it wasn't like, oh, tomorrow we're doubling your calories, because you would have thought I was crazy and not done
Yeah,
it. And
for
so
sure.
because I've worked with
Right.
so many people throughout the years, I understand this. That's why meal plans don't work. I'm not going to give you a meal plan because it's not going to work. Soon as life happens and you have a work lunch that you have to do tomorrow, like that
Right.
meal plan has gone out the day and you've just become frustrated and not happy with what your effort is. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's been fantastic. So um, give me 1 second here. Hey, hey, go away. I'm talking. Please leave me alone. Please go inside. Guys, go inside now. Do not come out here. I can't be distracted. Go inside and wait. I'm almost done. Sorry. My kids were starting to come out. I'm outside and they were gonna like come swarming in, and I'm like, stop! Do not come. Go back inside. You're not
They
welcome here
wanted to
now
be
because you
part of they
distract
wanted
me.
to be part of the live as well.
Yes, yes, and I could have done it, but they're all in like their swim stuff, and I'm like, no, guys. Anytime I'm on the phone, I have to hide from them because they'll come find me. so,
I
so it's
love
so
it.
funny. So back to you. So yeah, it is about progression. Is about building a little bit more and more, and building a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
Me too.
for you for sure.
And I think that's been really cool to see, even in my own self, like as it's happening and building on it, it's
Yeah.
become so integrated into like what I'm doing. It's almost like clockwork. But I
Right.
realize, like, like there's something like you can't, like, if I would tell anybody that's like watching the video, like anything, like, don't give up. Like, if you don't see the scale drop, or even if you like mess up and you like miss a workout or something, like, keep going, because it is that's gonna, it's gonna pay off. And
Right.
it can sometimes take a little bit of time for the mind
Right.
shift, especially I just think about like how long I spent not sleeping, not taking
Right.
care of myself, not
Right.
eating. There's no way I could, even in like 4 weeks, be like, oh, I'm good, I have it all figured out, and think that that's necessarily going to
Right.
sustain. It takes a while to undo bad habits. That's the one thing that I've probably said the most, when
Right.
talking to people about my experience, is that I had to like take it easy on myself and realize, like,
Right. Right.
you've had these bad habits for much longer than you've been doing the good ones.
Right.
So if you mess up, like, don't don't be so
Right.
hard on yourself, because you spent, like, for me, it was, from my early 20s until 12 weeks ago that I was doing.
Right.
So we're talking about at least 15 years
Right.
that I've been doing those same things. And so the idea that even in 12 weeks I have it all figured out, like, that's unreasonable. But
Right.
now I can start adding to it, but just taking it like a day at a time, a meal at a time, a workout at
Right.
a time. And I feel like it's right on the forefront of my brain now. So it helps me to keep things in perspective.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it in retrospect, it's only been a couple weeks compared to how many
Right.
weeks you spent not. So
Exactly.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And it's been a wild experience, especially in the last like 3 or 4, where we've created a lot more shift a lot faster because
Yeah,
we've
for sure.
prepped everything. We've prepped the mind. We've prepped the body. We've been allowing you to catch up with all those the bad habits of the not sleeping, the
Right.
not eating, the not moving, and all these things, and busting down different myths and giving you different strategies and stuff that is going to stick with you to create that long-term outcome. And that's what so many people unfortunately think is like, oh, like I didn't lose whatever. And so, marketing does us really bad here. 30 pounds in 30 days. And if you don't do that, then you fail.
Okay.
And then you might as well just give up
Yeah.
forever. Right. And that's just unreasonable to do that, especially if you spend a decade. Oftentimes I'll talk to people that spent 1 to 2 decades in a certain, habits and behaviors and all this stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not reality. It's
Right.
just not reality. And
No,
being
it's
able to
not.
try with the main point of equipping you with the right information and giving it to you at the right time has allowed for us to get the right outcome. And
Yeah.
what's even more exciting is that what's going to happen in the next like 2, 3, 5 months by year end.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be even that much better off because you'll be continuing to implement on these different things that get you to that outcome. So it's been amazing to work with you and your progress that we made, and that's why I had to bring you on here. It just absolutely had to. What was one of the big things that happened, if you can share, this week that was just like kind of knocked both our socks off?
Okay, so I can't spell all the beans, but I can tell some of it. Okay,
Right.
so I'm gonna go back just like a couple, maybe like a few weeks after maybe about the halfway point. I had mentioned in one of our phone calls that my supervisor had mentioned to me, like, oh, like, it really feels like your productivity and stuff is getting more focused, um and that you're just a lot more productive at work. And
Yeah.
not that my work outputs were ever terrible, but just thinking about all the things that I just talked about, that my family had been through, I had been through, trying to manage
Right.
no sleep and stuff like that, it does wear on you in the workplace, and it can impact like your how effective you can be. and
Right.
and my boss had
Sure. Well,
noticed the change, and he was asking
yeah.
me what
Well,
I was doing
Tiffany was
so he could
taking
feel my
naps
team
at
more
lunchtime.
focused.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
And
so he
that's
was
all
like
he
super
like knew of you.
excited.
You probably did great work, but you still took naps at lunchtime. You know. So
Yeah, and so, we have been talking about it, and then I'd had my evaluation. My evaluation went great, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And we had just been talking about different opportunities, and then just recently, one of those opportunities transitioned into a new opportunity for me at my job. So I'm really excited about it, and yeah, so
yeah, that's awesome. So imagine,
yeah,
with promotions come, probably, things that we could just throw out there without getting specific. Probably more time off, more better responsibility. You already handle
yeah.
and delegate even way better than you did because we've talked about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's probably more
Yeah,
money involved too, right? Who wouldn't take more money? So
right.
and it just
I
sets
have
you up for
definitely
further
hit that.
success. Yeah, right. And then also it's you've climbed another rung on the ladder in your overall career development that aligns for something that can come in the next 3 to 5 years. And if you continue on your
Yeah, for
track,
sure.
I almost 100% certainly know that you will attract exactly what it is that you want in your life because that's the type of person
Right.
you are, and you will make it happen, and you'll be able to do it because you've centered around taking care of yourself first and then been able to then
Exactly.
dramatically improve your capacity to deal with work, to deal with the most importantly your family and everything. So yeah, a
Yeah.
new career opportunity has presented itself,
Yeah.
and so that is so exciting. And
I'm super excited about that.
yeah,
Yes.
you're not the
And
first. That's the thing. You're not just the
I
first
love
person
it.
to share that with me. I've had multiple people that once we get the confidence to get back into Tiffany and do Tiffany and do her really
Right.
well. And then all these opportunities that she could not see before present themselves. And, like Esmeralda, Dana, like all these people have had multiple things centered around their career that was an offshoot, a benefit of them taking care of themselves. So
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just really so cool and timely that you experienced that. So
I love that. That's like my favorite thing. But and then the one thing is I'm always about that dollar. And the thing that I love the most is that thinking about like this new opportunity, it more than paid for the money I paid for the program. And so that made
right,
me feel even
right,
better. Because, like I said, like money is money, and you want to make sure you're getting every dollar's
right,
worth when you are investing in some way. And so at
right,
the end, like I didn't think about that as a possible outcome at the beginning. So then thinking about
right,
that at the end of this thing, I was like
right.
even more excited because I was like, oh, I got my money back and then some.
Right, and it's such a hard thing to say, and I'm so happy that you share that with us. Is that there are costs to you staying where you're at, but there's also significant costs and benefits to changing and shifting and getting more money and money.
Yeah.
Period is we can speak about that, but if you stayed in your position that you were at, physically, mentally, and all that stuff, how much would it have cost you?
I mean,
Maybe not
I don't
now, but
like I
10
said,
years from now.
right. I don't even want to think about it because it's just one of those things that I think it would have cost me more than I'd be
It could
willing
have
to
cost you
risk.
$100,000 in the next decade if you had a stroke
For
too.
sure.
And we're not even
For
talking about
sure.
money then. We're talking about
For
the
sure.
livelihood of your children,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
probably weren't thinking about that,
Not at the
you
time,
know?
but like as we talked
Right,
about it, then I think that also helped me to kind of shift because it became it was very salient for me. It was right on the forefront of my mind all the time. Like I got to do this for me, but I'm doing this for me for the other people that are in my life. And so and that's how I feel like that's how
right,
sometimes we do like as women, we are so focused on doing things for other people, but we have to do things for ourselves so we can continue to be whatever it is that we choose to be for those other people. But that means sometimes saying,
right,
no, I'm not going to do this. No, I need to walk away and take care of this for myself. Mommy needs an hour so that I can go
right,
work out. Or you know what? I'm going to bed early and
right,
so are you. Like any of that. And so I feel really empowered to do that, even with my kids.
right. Right. Yep, we're losing you a little bit there. So to quickly recap about what Tiffany was saying, if you didn't hear her, she was saying about how uh, her daughter had started inquiring about a healthier lifestyle and actually working out with her and doing things like that with her, which is awesome. Another benefit for Tiffany stepping up and leading from the front rather than trying to dictate and tell or say, hey, you need to do. And so that's what, if you missed that little gap, that's what she was sharing, was like her daughter's like excited to spend time with her. And I know, like, I have 4 kids, like I'll be excited to spend activity with them as well when it becomes relevant for them. You know, the oldest is being
Right.
going to turn 9 here, and so it's starting to become a real thing that I can help even imprint more healthy habits into their lives than they already are experiencing now. So
Yep.
a big smile.
Yeah,
Just a big
I
smile.
feel good. I feel really
Yeah.
excited about like
Yeah.
the future, but also the journey because I think it helped me to shift my
Mm-hmm.
mind. So
Right.
I feel
Right.
real good about it.
Right. And I know and I feel in my heart that you can maintain exactly what it is that we have been doing, and then also, you know, get to where you want to ultimately go. We're not there yet. Okay. We're not there. We're
Right.
in the journey, but Tiffany's unstoppable now. She's got a new job. She's making more money. She's like eating more. She's sleeping more. She is at herself. You know, very true to herself now, and she honors and respects that more than she has in the last decade. And because of that, she can then really focus in on and accomplish the things that are going to make things happen for her. So it's just awesome. It's just awesome, and that's what all this is about, is to get you to step up for yourself, to show yourself respect, and then do the work around what is necessary to get the outcomes that you need to experience. So it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's
I'm excited.
awesome.
So
Yep, it's awesome. So let's start to wrap up here. What
yeah.
is, you know, some of the things you said before, is someone that is in your situation, because literally, Tiffany, you can have power to change someone's life now. We've got this recorded here, and there's people viewing it now and then in the future, and you have power to help shift someone from where they were to where they want to go. They probably aren't even thinking about that, but they're stuck in here. You know, what do you say to someone that, if you could go back and talk about to yourself, even, you know, to your 4 or 5 months from now, what would you say? Listen, I'm doing something. I will be done. Stop. We're not leaving right now. Go. Get over there now. Go. All right. Yeah, what would you say?
About this is what we're doing is crucial. It's necessary if you really want to get the results that are right for you.
Right. Right. Someone who's been there, taken other people through, and can definitely help instrument that process for you. What was the motto? Patience in the process, correct?
Right. Yep. Patience in the process. You got to
That was
go
our
on.
motto, what we had stapled onto your experience and process so far. Right. I think I'm breaking up, or you're breaking up a little bit. I'm gonna. Ah, shoot. It looks like we lost her. Maybe we can bring Tiffany back here. Um, and get kind of recap. But we were in the end of our call anyway. So if, Tiffany, if you hear this or see this, pop back on and we'll invite you back in. Ultimately, what Tiffany did, she stepped up. She took advantage of maximizing herself against herself. And I was just here to help leverage the process along as we went through getting her to, level up in her own life. And it takes commitment, it takes effort, it takes a regular daily recommitment to be able to get that stuff to happen. And I love it when we get outcomes like this. So not only has she slept almost twice as much as she was when we first started, she's eaten twice as much, and she has so much more vibrant energy than she's ever had in her life. You've heard that in her voice. But she's got a promotion. She's making more money. She's being more productive in life. She's stepping up for her children and showing them that she can manage all this stuff. And that's going to give them so much more resilience around who they are and what they're going to do, especially as they leave their nests. They're all in their teenage years. And that's probably even more important. So there's so much that was against her that would have, the cost of not taking action was so tremendous. Her daughters could be in the same situation a decade, 2 decades from now. Like she herself could experience a negative health consequence from not sleeping, not eating. The body only puts up with that for so long. And then it says, you know what? Forget this. And then it shuts down. And that would have a drastic outcome on her family for a negative outcome. And it would not work really well. And so there are so many other pieces than just I want to lose weight that need to be addressed. And it's so critical that you watch this and understand how Tiffany's been able to masterfully handle all these things. And so I give so much props to Tiffany for her work, for the dynamic duo that we've created here in our coaching together. And it's just been a super great pleasure to work with her. Now, and so here's my invitation to you. If you resonate with Tiffany, you feel like you're not comfortably discontent, if you're there and you like want to lose weight but aren't willing to do the work, continue to work on yourself there. Continue to develop what needs to happen. If you are in the absolute, I need help right now, or something dire will come, and you're in that percentage around there, it's like, I am sick and tired of feeling this way, sick and tired of buying bigger clothes, sick and tired of excluding myself from activities, whether it's my family or friends, and just feel rotten about who I am, because you are here. That's who I work with best. That's how I create transformation from the bottom up. We rebuild you stack by stack, brick by brick, layer by layer, to give you the outcomes that you want and to create this life that you don't even see light know exists. That's where we're going to take you to. And so it's so much more than just weight loss or nutrition or fitness and exercising stuff. It's about life transformation. And that's what I'm committed to do in my life, is to commit to getting that outcome in people on a huge level. So again, I'll open an invite. I'll post a link for you to share, to connect with me. We can apply to have a conversation with me about where you're at, where you're stuck, what's going on in your life, and if this is a good fit, then and you have Tiffany like qualities, or Dana like qualities, or Esmeralda like qualities, Marilyn like qualities, Kara like qualities. These are people I've talked to and helped. Then this is going to be an exciting time for both of us. So again, I thank Tiffany so much for jumping on and sharing her story. Unfortunately, the world of the internet, it's good like 98% of the time. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for sharing and connecting, because this will definitely change someone else's life. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.